Hi everyone and welcome to Darlene's Creative Studio. I'm back from my trip to Washington to visit my new grandson. While I was there I picked up some books and some other little goodies, and I'm quickly going to go through those. And I also purchased some books just before I left at our secondhand bookstore here in Southampton. So I'm just going to show you quickly those and show you a couple of other things that I'm working on. While I was in Washington, I purchased a couple of books. This is a little bird book that I've purchased. I've already cut the pages out. So these are some of the little bird pictures that I have. I also picked up a guide to wildflowers, ferns and grasses. So I have some lovely pictures of botanicals. And then I also purchased two of these garden plant books. And I've already started to cut out the pages. These are both the same book, but I really liked how the garden plants are in these little squares, and I can use those for some journaling cards or in front of books or whatever. They're a little bit shiny, but that's okay. But I did purchase fairly cheaply these two books. I haven't decided. I may use these two books and make another lap book. While I was driving, it took us 3 days to drive to the States, to Washington State, and 3 12-hour days in a car. Gave me plenty of time to think about a couple of things. So I was going to make another lap book, and I want one that I can take with me to my art group with some meeting, calendars in it and that type of thing. So when we have our meetings, I'll have all my information handy with me. So I've been kind of doodling in my book to come up with some ideas. But anyway, there was those two books that I purchased. And then I purchased a series of garden books. I think there was about 12 in the series. There was one on bugs. And my grandson, who is 3, absolutely loves bugs. He picks them up all the time. I'll turn around and he'll have this huge beetle in his hand, which scares Grandma to death, but he just loves them. Anyway, so there was a bug book, and I left that behind. We spent a lot of time flipping through the bug book and looking at the different bugs. So these are the remainder of the gardening books that I did purchase, and I've already cut them apart, so I have these as well. And these are the end papers that came in the books, and I love when I find some really great end papers that are thicker and have some great colors. I love the green. I'm going to be using these to cut tabs. I'm going to use my tab punch, and again, this will go in my box for watching TV with my husband, and I will use my tab punch and punch out some tabs with this paper. It's nice and thick, but they will be great for in some of my journals, these lovely colored tabs. And then I also got this Wildflowers of Britain book, and it has some floral pictures in it as well, and I didn't get a chance to cut this one up, but that one is another one that I purchased while I was in the States. So these were some of the books that I brought back with me. While I had time in the hotel room each night, I would just kind of play with them and cut the spines and cut the books up and not have to bring back the covers anyway for the gardening ones, because they were hard and shiny. So those were some of the books I got in Washington State. Before I left, I went into my secondhand bookstore and I purchased this little book, which I thought was really, really cute. And it has a lovely little saying in here. And it's just little poems, but the pages are like that. So I thought this might make a great little journal, keeping the pages intact, and maybe making this a pocket, gluing the bottom, and then actually putting some papers inside. I'm just going to make this my own little journal. There's even a lovely little note in the back to whoever purchased it, and it's quite old. I believe it's 1915, copyright 1915. But I'm going to use this as a cute little journal, and I might do something with the front. And then when I went in, I found this set of William Shakespeare books, and they were on the shelf. The spines are a little lighter than the actual books, but I have about 12 of these, I believe, and I was playing around with some ideas for covers of these as well. So this is just something else that I found, but I'm thinking either the garden books or these type of books will be what I make my little lap book out of for taking to my meetings. I'll just find two that are fairly much the same size, and then this will become my lap book, and they will open this way. And I will create a spine in the back. So I'm going to do a video, whichever ones I decide to do, I'm going to do a video on creating the lap book, and then show you how I went about doing that. So these are the books that I purchased, and this one as well, before I went on my vacation, and then the others were when I was in the States. I also went into, they have some really lovely thrift stores, vintage stores down there, and I just picked up a couple of quick things in one of the vintage stores. The prices were a little high in the store, but there were some things I just could not pass up. I absolutely love this little book. It's like a little catalog, like Mary Maxim type thing. But it was, I just love some of the pictures that are in here. It's just a lovely little catalog of patterns. I thought this would be nice in a sewing journal, so I got that for a couple of bucks. And then this riddle book, I just love the outside of it, and it's an old school book, and it has all these lovely little poems. Well, actually it's not a poem, it's it says, I am a worker, I am a woman, I help boys and girls, I help them learn to read. Who am I? So you have to figure out who they are, but I love the images that come in this book. They're just absolutely wonderful. I thought these would be great in a journal as well. And it's aged, it's old. It's quite, it's got a little tear there. And this was 1925. So I got that. And then I also purchased, the lady had some button cards, a big bowl of button cards. And they were fairly cheaply priced. So I just grabbed some that I like the background of the button cards. This one, I love the background. These are glass. I love this button card, and this one, and this one. And then this one I purchased. These are actually glass buttons, and it has on here buttons for a gray dress, and these were made in Czechoslovakia. But that's a really old one. I paid $5 for those. So these were some of the things that I picked up while I was in Washington State, and I will use some of those button cards and buttons for some of my journals. Anyway, so that's just kind of what I was getting caught up on. I'm also in the process, I also bought these little knobs that were in a little dish. I'm going to make a few more of these. Just put a little circle pad on the bottom of this and the foam and use them for distressing. I just grabbed a couple more of those to make my own for traveling. I don't always lose this when I don't want to end up losing my good ones, so I've just made a couple of small ones that I will just throw in a travel pack when I'm traveling around. I also saw this really cute idea. This is just stuff that's all over my desk, sorry. I'm using the little bowl clip and then cutting a piece of paper, making it into like a little clipboard, and you could put that in your journal. But I saw that while I was out and did that as well. I also came across these. These were in an index card. It was a small book, but I'm thinking of making them into envelopes and putting a ribbon through the actual opening here. So you just weave a ribbon through there. So that will be my, I was just testing some different colors to see which ones would be nice for making little envelopes out of. And then again, I'll decorate them and distress the edges. But that was another little thing that I came across and thought, oh, I'll have to try that. So those are some of the things that I've just been working on before I went on my trip and while I was on my trip. But what I'm currently working on right now, and trying to get them in my shop because I know a lot of people travel in the wintertime. I'm trying to get these travel journals finished. I've got about a dozen here. No, maybe 10. Travel journals that I've started, and I'm getting them going. I've got the little booklets for the insides. Actually, I think I will probably use the same. So I've got the booklets, and they've all got names on them, and I'm just working on getting those finished for my Etsy shop. So lots of little, you know, the travel itinerary checklists, a little photo that will go in there, and you'll slide something in there. Got my little pockets with my little camera stand. and some other little pockets made up that will go inside. These have the little cuts in them here, so you can slide some cards in them. And then I'm going to probably add one of these little cards and the packing lists. I'll have those in there as well. So I've just kind of started on those. I will be working on those this week, but I wanted to get going and show you some of the projects that I'm working on, some of the books that I've gotten, and then I will do a tutorial on the Little Lap book. Whichever one I decide to do, I'm actually going to get all the supplies together and do a video on creating my Little Lap book. So that's it for now. I just wanted to touch base and say hello, and I'm back, and I will have some more stuff on my Etsy shop real soon. Thanks for watching. See you soon.